Hey everyone, welcome to Empower Team Monday Night Training. We're so excited tonight because we have Emily Gernaat joining us, and I am going to just be picking her brain and interviewing her and letting her just share a bunch of really awesome things that she's learned over the years, share her story with us, share things she's overcome, share what she's doing right now that's really led to her like killing it on the leaderboard, still working it and doing the dang thing after years of being in this business. And I think like you guys are going to want to take notes and pay close attention to what she's talking about because she walks the walk and she talks the talk. So yeah, so I want to go ahead and just pass it over to Emily. Can you just start with sharing a little bit with us about like your business story, like why you started, a little bit of your background, how long you've been doing this, all those things?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me tonight. It's an honor to be here. I love this team. There's so many of you I've been able to hang out with in person at events and everything. And I just like y'all are just near and dear to my heart. I feel like Natalie's team and my team just gel. So it's it's exciting to be on here. Um, okay, so I've been with Plexus for almost 5 years now, coming up on 5 years. And when I joined, I was in just a desperate situation. Kind of my back was against the wall. I needed to find a job or figure something out because I had just lost my job. I had just moved across the country, gone through a divorce. Um, Literally was like to a point where I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any other resources or anything else to do. And that was when Jamie reached out to me and was like, yo, have you ever considered this business? And I was like, actually, yeah. So it took off from there. I just dove straight in and was really gritty about it. And in the first year of my business, I went all the way to Emerald. It felt like a whirlwind experience. It was like fast and furious and chaotic, and not a lot of organization, not a lot of systems, not a lot of like knowing what the heck I was doing. But whatever I was doing it as fast as I could. And that was my story all the way to Emerald. It was fast and furious. And come to find out later in life, partly because of Natalie, I have ADHD. And so, like, looking back at that season of my business, I'm like, no wonder things went the way they did. And no wonder I had all this trouble with systems and all the things. But I got to that threshold and then realized like there were so many other things I had to grow in, leadership stuff, communication stuff, systems, creating a structure to my business that could actually duplicate and grow past me and past intensity. Um, and so that was kind of the next, I would say, year or two of my business was like honing in on those skills, developing more width and stability in my business. And then for the last couple of years, things have been super stable. And I'm super, super grateful for that. But in my mind, I felt stuck. I felt like, I just want to bust past this rank and get to the next one and the next one and help all of these people that are relying on me to rank up and to hit their goals. So for the last couple of years, it's been a little bit of that struggle of back and forth of like, oh, I don't feel like I'm doing a good enough job leading people. I don't feel like I'm getting them to where they want to go. And although like things have been stable and I'm super grateful for that, I did reach that point again where I was like, I'm ready for like the next level. And that kind of brought me to where I've been the last couple of months, which has inspired a lot of the current like growth and fire that you're seeing now.
I love that. Yeah, we're reading Build to Last right now on our team. And he was talking about how like what motivates people is either inspiration or desperation. And yeah, that desperation piece, like I hear that, like, no, I'm just like it's like no, I'm desperate to get out. Like initially you were like desperate to get out of your situation. And then like what helped you get out of like being steady, which is really awesome, but like getting beyond that, it was like an additional sense of desperation. Like, no, like I have to
Yes.
make this happen. Like I can't, like we were talking, like I can't let this be, the end of my story. And I love how you were able to just tap into that. Um, like, as you were kind of getting out of the place that you were in and kind of leveling up, like can you share with us what, like how you kind of got yourself out of that place, whether that's like mindset or action, or like what did you do?
Are you talking about most recently?
Yeah, most recently,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So I really had to kind of tap into like the old Emily. Like you were saying about the desperation versus inspiration thing. I think that there's different types of people in the world. I think there's people that run from things, and then there's people that run to things. And I have just discovered like I am somebody that if something's chasing me, I get intense. I get gritty. I get like hungry for winning. I guess like I'm a red personality. I'm somebody that like thrives on that type of intensity, but I if it's not outside pressures making it happen, I have a hard time finding that from an internal place. And so for me, I had to tap back into that like, okay, what would Emily 6 years ago be doing right now if she was starting her business day one? And when I was in that desperate situation, like my back was against the wall, I ran my business way differently than I did, a few years in when everything felt stable and kind of easy in a way. Um, and so I had to reach back and bring old Emily back to life and be like, okay, what would she do? And so I started over with my business. I kind of put everything behind me and acted like it was day one. This is my first post. I'm going out to recruit my face off, like get as many people as I possibly can. I'm going to develop 3 silvers. I'm going to hit this incentive and I'm going to show my team what's possible. Because I kind of felt like I was stuck where I was like, I was, recruiting a few people a month. But oh, did I disappear? Oh, okay. I was recruiting a few people a month, but I wasn't getting like big time results that I knew I was capable of. Like I wasn't showing up as the person that I knew I was capable of showing up as. And so that just fueled my fire. And it was like, okay, I can resurrect her for this season and get really intense and gritty and show people what's possible.
I love that. So yeah, in case you guys haven't noticed, Emily like on the leaderboard and like all over, like our like Pink Power and all of that. And if you don't follow Emily, you should, because she's incredible at branding, incredible at writing. Like she's definitely one of those people that you want to follow and draw inspiration from, because she does it so intentionally and with such class and in a way that really draws people in. Um, I will say last month, Emily recruited 6 people personally and developed 3 silvers. And like that's super, super huge to get 3 new recruits or 6 new recruits, and then also develop 3 silvers. Like that's really, really amazing. And so like I'm like, hey, like can you share with us like what are you doing to pull yourself? Like I love how she just took ownership of where she was and she just made a simple decision, cut out the drama, and started fresh, went back to the basics. And so I would love if you could share with us more like what that process really looked like, of like just like, hey, I'm going to change things. I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to shift things. Like what was that process looking like?
Um, so there's a few different elements that come to mind. The first thing that came to mind when you asked me that was I've been super duper intentional about spending time with people in real life and really developing my network in real life, like actual friends, actual people that I like to hang out with. Um, showing up at get togethers, inviting people over, inviting people into my friend group, going to work out with people, walking with people, like whatever I can do to get in front of actual real people. That has been a big shift for me in my business. And I don't go into those scenarios looking at who I can recruit. It's when I go there, I am there to enjoy myself, enjoy those people, add value to their lives, like be a genuine friend. But the Plexus conversations come up naturally because they're asking about what I do. They're like, it's going back and forth, and people are interested in my life. So we talk about my life, we talk about their life, and it bounces back and forth naturally. And the curiosity develops in kind of like what do I do that allows me to be flexible and show up at all these things and go get lunch midday, on a whim with somebody. Because not a lot of people have that type of flexibility. So the business conversations kind of naturally come up from those things. Um, and so I've been planting seeds in that type of scenario for a long time. And I feel like I'm reaping the benefit of that months later. So that wasn't an overnight thing. That was something I've been investing in, just relationally, because and partly because I need the connection and friendships as well. So um, it's kind of twofold there. And then when it comes to like developing the silvers and everything, that's something I went back to the basics there too. I thought about when I first started, what did it feel like when I first started? Because that feels like a long time ago now. I'm kind of disconnected from how it felt when I very first started. But I think what helped me the most was my sponsor, Jamie, was talking to me every day. Every little step that she would have me take, I would take the step and she would be like, awesome, like good job. She'd be so encouraging for every little teeny tiny thing. And then she would give me the next step, the next step, the next step. And she'd never shrunk back on casting vision. She casted big, big vision for me and believed in me from day one and was very vocal and very involved. And so I think I had gotten away from that at some point in time where I would kind of plug people into systems and I'd be like, okay, if you do X, Y, Z and, accomplish this or that, then we'll move on to the next thing. And I wouldn't really make it as relational and as like be their hype woman as much as I needed to be. So that's something I shifted recently. And I have been talking to these people every day. I've been calling them up randomly. Like we just are, it's making more of a friendship with them, being a friend, and then helping them like take the next steps is all. So I feel like those were kind of the two bigger shifts lately.
Yeah, I love that. I'm also a big believer in like going and like making real friends. I've always found that like a stable business always involves like real life people that that you want to be friends with outside of Plexus. And that naturally evolves into them wanting to do Plexus with you, the right ones, not everyone, but the right ones. And then it also fills your cup, and it's just so much more authentic, and it's easier to, convey your passion for what you do to people that authentically know. And so I love that. And I've definitely seen you be really intentional about that. And it's brought, a lot of fruit clearly. And I think like investing in friendships and going out and going to parties and meeting real people, and like that takes effort. But I think that's also like having a long-term mindset. You're not doing any of that for like, it'll be good to you. And like by faith, like that'll pay off. But like, I think that's just like also a part of the long game. Just
Exactly.
knowing like you can't go out and force it right now, but yeah.
Right.
So I think that like I love that. Can you share more with us about, you're developing silvers and signing up a lot of people. How are you like what are you doing to develop those silvers? Like, how are you
Okay.
talking to them? Like, share with us, like, what you're doing. What are you talking? Are you,
Yeah.
are you posting about the business? What's leading to that, do you think?
Okay. Um, okay, so one thing I do super duper intentionally to even open that door to help develop someone as a silver, whether it is a product user or somebody that hasn't even talked to me about the products yet, is I will intentionally like look at that person's life, look at like their personality, who they are, how they show up in the world, and I will find three, four, five, six strengths of theirs that I think are awesome. And I will begin casting vision based on their strengths. So maybe there's somebody that's super outgoing, they have a great network, people trust them, they're hardworking, they are healthy, like health conscious people to begin with. Anything that I can find that I feel would make them well suited for this business, I'll let them know. And when I have a business conversation, I kind of show up to that conversation like I'm already their leader, I guess. And like I already believe in them for what I think is possible for them. So I don't shrink back from that. I don't like pitch it as like this little cute idea. I pitch it to them like, dude, I see potential in you to go all the way to the top of the company. This is why. And I'm serious about it. You know what I mean? I don't make it like this cutesy little conversation or like, oh yeah, you could get your products paid for. I go all the way to the big vision and then I'll scale it back if they're not ready for that. But I will start there and then I'll scale it back because I don't want to just develop silvers. I want to get people on a track where they're like bought in, they're going to be diamonds one day, you know? And so it starts with silver, of course. And like I'll talk about like the monthly incentives and things that they could earn in the near future as well. But I don't skip over the big vision casting. So that kind of opens the door and gets things started. And then from there, it's literally just giving them their next steps. And for me, I always do the same thing with that. I have them post, I have them make a list of 100 names, and I have them start making a list of their dream team members. And that's another way I cast vision is I don't make it just about them getting sales and getting VIP customers. I have them think about like, okay, let's turn around and think about who you would want to link arms with, who you would want to also build this business with, and let's get you both started together. And so I just have them do like those three little things. That's gets us off and rolling. And then I do weekly coaching calls with them. I touch base with them every single day. We're voice clipping, we're talking, chatting, and I'm just genuinely invested in their journey and like every next little step.
Wow. Yeah. You were sharing with me like the people that you got to silver were not on the products for not even a full month. And it's all started with you basically your vision casting with them and talking about their strengths and supporting them from the get-go. Like when they're signing up, are you talking to people about like the business pretty much right away?
A lot of times I am. A lot of times that conversation has already come up like in the recruiting process somewhere down the line. But if it hasn't, I don't worry about it. I know it will come up eventually. Whether it's like when they get their first win with the products, maybe they have a little more energy or whatever. I'm like, yo, you should post about that. That's awesome. And then I start planting those seeds from there. But yeah, a lot of times that stuff has already come up in the recruiting process. So it's maybe like a seed planted in their mind, and then it wouldn't be weird to bring it up later. So
Yeah.
I kind of, yeah, plant little seeds along the way
Yeah.
if they're just interested in the products to start with.
Yeah. You were sharing with me like the people that you got to silver, like also like you got them to silver and because of how you vision casted with them and planted all the seeds and talked about their strengths and all of that, that they don't want to just stop at silver. Like all of those people like want to keep going and get to senior
Mhm.
silver. And they you've already given them a new goal. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I can you share with me more on like the vision casting process?
Um, I'm trying to think of like what that process would be if I broke it down because sometimes it's one of those things that like you get so used to doing, it's just happening and I'm not necessarily thinking of step by step. So it's a good question. Um, but I think like what I like to do is like to have real conversations with people about their real life. So what's your job like? What's your home life like? What would you do if you didn't have, if you had all the money in the world and nothing on your calendar? Like, what would you spend your days doing? And then that gives me an idea of like what they value because people will chase after what they value. If somebody doesn't value money, you're not going to entice them by giving them a money incentive to run towards. If they're not like, if they don't really value like vacations, you're not going to be like, you could earn this trip to Hawaii. Like they're not going to want to run after that. So it's more of a matter of getting to know them and then casting the vision that they want, like what would they actually value and want in life, and meet them at that level.
I love that. Are you getting them on the phone like as soon as they buy the products, or are you getting them on a second call to talk more about, doing the business or going silver or whatever? Like when does that happen?
I think it's been different for just about all of them. Some of them bought the products and then a week in or whatever, we had a phone call. Some of them I called to sign them up. So we had conversation then. So it's kind of been different for each person. And I guess like what I try to do is just feel out like what their interest level is and can I push it to the next level or can I open that can of worms and see where it goes. So kind of using a little discretion as far as like timing with some of that stuff, because you're not going to want to just throw it at everybody and then see what sticks. Feel it out a little bit, feel out like what their interest level is, and kind of go from there. But I feel like all the people that I have signed up recently, like they're talkative, they're wanting, to connect and everything. It's easy conversation and I can kind of just lay it all out there for them. And so it's felt natural in that way.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think, yeah, like whether you talk about it while you're signing them up or shortly after they get their products, I love that it's like, after like the tiniest positive thing, you're just being intentional to move them through the process and you are having the posture of a leader. It seems like you kind of like assume that they want to do this and the way that you treat them, like the way
Yeah.
that you kind of lead them through the process, like, hey, let's just do this, let's just do that. I think that that's huge because people feel more secure knowing they have like a leader who's committed and taking on that posture, and so
Mhm.
that's super huge. um in our last, like, we have like 6 minutes. I would love to hear, you know what your biggest like mindset obstacle has been in this business that you've had to either like continuously slay or like or just like how are you overcoming the things that kind of hold you back the most?
Um, you stumped me with that question earlier when we were talking, and it's still like a little bit like, oh, what is my biggest one? Because there's been many, many, many hurdles and many mindset things that I've had to work through that have been challenging in their own right. But I think that the thing that I struggled with or struggle with still sometimes is, kind of going back to like those two different people. Like some people are better when they're being chased, and some people are better when they're chasing after something. I've had to figure out how do I recreate being chased when I'm not being chased. Like my life is stable, I'm safe, I can pay my bills. Like things are feel kind of the easiest they've ever been in my entire life. And most of my life up until this time has been super difficult, and it legit things felt like they were chasing me. So going from that like survival mode to, okay, now I'm safe, I'm thriving, like life is good, I don't have anything to worry about necessarily, but how do I still create intensity and drive and ambition and passion in my business without that feeling of there's a tiger chasing me? And so, kind of digging into that and walking through like, okay, I don't have something chasing me, but how can I bring out the intensity inside me still and the passion and the joy in my business that I had in the beginning? And that's kind of when I made that shift of like, okay, today is day one of my business. I'm starting over in my mind and I am going to run again like something is chasing me, because I know that on the other side of that, I'm going to be happy about the fruit from that. I'm going to be excited that I have people ranking up and I'm helping people, and I'm like my team is crushing it and getting momentum. Like that type of stuff is enticing and fun and exciting and joyful, and I want to get there, but I have to run like something's chasing me again. And so, bringing back that intensity has been key, I guess.
Yeah. And I was, when we were talking, I'm like, how do you do that? How do you bring back that intensity? Like, how do you get connected to that? I was like, do you journal? Do you, do you just like look at yourself in the mirror one day and have an aha moment? Or is it those like simple, like daily, this is what I'm going to do daily, like the simple action? Like how do you channel that like intensity?
Um, to to be honest, totally honest with you guys, I had to kind of get angry. Um, like I said, I'm kind of like that red personality that like needs that like roar, so that helps me if I have something that I'm like, okay, something's making me mad. I'm like determined now. And so like in the past, I kind of had like haters or people that would like not believe in me or not think I was capable or be like, oh, you're in network marketing, that's cute, condescending or kind of like, yeah, I didn't think I could do it. And I was like, okay, I'll show you, and so it would bring out that like intensity and that grit that I needed in order to make it. And so I kind of dug that back up again and I was like, okay, sometimes I don't even believe in myself. Sometimes I'm my own hater, so to speak, because I'm like, I have my own self doubts or insecurities or whatever. Um, or even more recently, I was thinking back to like high school time when I really think it was probably due to my ADHD, but I struggled through school and I didn't do very well. And my teachers all were very aware of it, like the struggle, and were like, "No, you should go this direction in life because you're really not cut out for school," that type of thing. So I think about those things sometimes, and I'm like, "Okay, watch me now," and I get that intensity back, and I think about like I've got something to prove. And even if it's just to myself, I've got something to prove. And that gives me that like fire and passion to get rolling again. And I don't know if that's necessarily coming from the best place. But it's something that works for me to bring back that fire and intensity. And that's something that I personally need to be successful in the business. I can't do it just based off of like I do XYZ IPA every day and just keep it mundane and simple. And like that doesn't work for me. I need intensity. And so that's what I've dug into.
That's so good. I know that I myself can really relate to that. In the beginning of my business, I definitely had this I'm going to prove them wrong type mentality. I had family laugh in my face. I also struggled growing up, and I think it was very much a like nobody ever thought that I would do anything with myself or be anybody. And I just that was my own perceived like story in some of those cases, some of them like actual people laughing in my face. And so I definitely did like let that drive me. And once I kind of hit a certain level of success where I felt like, okay, like I did kind of prove them wrong. Then I transitioned it into I need to prove this to myself. Like I need to be able to look at myself in the mirror and know that I did my best and know that I proved myself wrong and that I demolished my own self-doubts. Like I needed that. And so that was a really powerful driving force also, because I think a lot of us, in this business, there's a ton of doubt and a ton of, can I really be successful here? Or will I ever get past this, point or that point? And I think every rank that I've hit, I've never really thought that I was going to hit it until I hit it. And I think that's normal for a lot of people to be like, experiencing that. But I think like demolishing our own self-doubt is one of the most powerful drivers if you are intentional to tap into it. So thank you so much for just sharing with us, what you've overcome and like your mindset and what you're doing. Like so, so, so helpful. And like if you guys aren't following Emily, like please do it. She's constantly adding so much value, and she's such an incredible leader in our big team, Pink Power. And we just appreciate you so much, Emily. Like cannot wait to see you fly to the next steps. Like I know without a doubt, like you're going like all the way to the top. And I can't wait to be
Thanks,
cheering you
girl.
on. Love
Thank
you.
you so much. Love you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Night.
Good night.